Welcome to Heartline Stories. Today's story follows Samantha, a waitress who unexpectedly saves a billionaire's life. But what happens next will leave you speechless. Could this act of kindness lead her to a life she never imagined? Stay tuned to find out what she learns and how it changes everything. Let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It was a busy Thursday afternoon at the Silver Spoon, a small, cozy restaurant in downtown Chicago. The place was always full of customers, but today something felt different. Samantha, a waitress in her 20s, was rushing around, balancing trays of food. She had worked here for over a year, and though it wasn't the most glamorous job, it paid her bills and helped her support her little sister. Today, Samantha was especially tired. She had worked two doubles in a row, trying to save money for her dream, opening her own bakery. But she knew she couldn't complain. She had a job, and for that, she was thankful. It was nearly 3:30 p.m. when a man walked in alone. He was dressed in a fancy suit, and his eyes had a sharp, focused look. He was the type of person who seemed to have everything: wealth, power, and respect. Samantha smiled politely and led him to a table by the window. She noticed a slight frown on his face, like something was bothering him, but she didn't think much of it. Samantha took his order. He asked for a simple Caesar salad and a glass of water. As she was about to walk away, she heard a sudden noise, a small thud. Turning around quickly, Samantha saw the man's face turn pale. His eyes widened in panic. Then his hands gripped the edge of the table tightly. Before Samantha could say anything, the man collapsed forward, his body hitting the table with a loud noise. "Help! Somebody help!" Samantha screamed, rushing over to the man's side. A few customers noticed the commotion and gasped. But Samantha didn't hesitate. She quickly checked his pulse. It was faint. His breathing was shallow. He was having a heart attack. Samantha had no medical training, but she had seen enough TV shows to know that time was of the essence. Without thinking, she leaned over the man and performed chest compressions, pushing down firmly on his chest. Every second felt like an hour. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she continued the life-saving effort. Finally, the man let out a sudden gasp. His eyes fluttered open. "Don't worry, you're going to be okay," Samantha said, her voice shaking. She had never been in such a situation before, but she was relieved to see him breathing again. Minutes later, an ambulance arrived, and the paramedics rushed in. They took over, hooking the man up to a heart monitor and moving him to the stretcher. They told Samantha she had saved his life. "You did great," one of the paramedics said. "He's lucky you were here." The man was barely conscious, but before he was taken away, he looked at Samantha with a weak smile. "Thank you. I'm not sure what would have happened if you hadn't been here," he murmured. Samantha watched as they wheeled him out of the restaurant and into the waiting ambulance. Her hands were still shaking from the experience, but she was proud. She had saved a life. The next day, Samantha went back to the Silver Spoon for her shift, trying to push the events of yesterday to the back of her mind. But things were different. A few hours into her shift, her manager, Mr. Davis, came over to her with a strange look on his face. He handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" Samantha asked, confused. "It's from a man who came in yesterday," Mr. Davis explained. "The one you saved. He wanted to thank you." Samantha opened the envelope and found a check inside. A check for $50,000. Her heart skipped a beat. There was also a note. "You are a hero. This is for you, to help with whatever you need. You saved my life. I'll never forget that. Jack Harrison." Samantha couldn't believe her eyes. 50,000. The amount was more than she could ever dream of. But it wasn't just the money. It was the fact that this stranger, someone she had never met before, had appreciated her enough to thank her in such a big way. For the rest of the day, Samantha couldn't stop thinking about Jack Harrison. She had heard of him. He was one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country, a billionaire. He could have given that money to anyone, but he chose her. A few days passed, and things started to feel like they were returning to normal. But one afternoon, Samantha's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "This is Jack Harrison. I hope you're doing well. I'd like to meet you in person to thank you properly. Would you be willing to join me for dinner?" Samantha couldn't believe it. Jack Harrison, the billionaire who she had saved, wanted to meet her. Samantha stared at the message for a long time, her heart racing. She was just an ordinary girl, a waitress, and yet here she was, getting a message from one of the wealthiest men in the country. She wasn't sure what to think. Should she accept? Was this some kind of joke? Or was it a real opportunity? After a few moments of thinking, she replied, "I would be honored to meet you. Thank you for your kindness." That evening, she carefully dressed in a nice outfit, something she'd bought on sale months ago. She wanted to look nice but still keep it simple. She couldn't imagine meeting someone like Jack Harrison in a fancy dress, especially when she was just a waitress. Samantha arrived at the restaurant Jack had chosen. It was a high-end restaurant in the city, one she had never been to before. The atmosphere was quiet, with soft lighting and elegant decor. As she entered, she saw Jack waiting for her at a table near the window. He was dressed in a sharp suit, looking just as polished as the last time she saw him. "Good evening, Samantha," Jack greeted her with a warm smile. His voice was calm, yet there was a certain warmth in it that made her feel at ease. "Good evening," she replied, her voice a little nervous. She sat down across from him, trying to gather her thoughts. Jack looked at her with appreciation. "You saved my life, and I will never be able to repay you for that," he said. "But I wanted to meet you in person, not just to thank you, but also because I believe you deserve more than just money. You're a truly special person." Samantha blinked, surprised by his words. She wasn't used to hearing such compliments, especially from someone like him. I I didn't do it for the money," she said quietly, her hands nervously fiddling with the edge of her napkin. "I just did what anyone would do in that situation." Jack nodded. "That's exactly why I admire you. Most people would have panicked, but you stayed calm and acted quickly. You have something rare about you." They talked for a while, and during their conversation, Jack explained more about his life. He shared how he had always been focused on his business and wealth, and how his life had been filled with high-powered meetings and people who only cared about his money. But meeting Samantha, he told her, had reminded him that there was more to life than business deals and luxury. Samantha, on the other hand, told Jack about her simple dreams, her desire to one day open a small bakery, a place where people could enjoy homemade pastries and feel at home. She told him about her little sister, her struggles, and her hopes for a better life. By the end of dinner, Samantha felt a bond with Jack that she didn't expect. He was no longer just a billionaire. He was a person with real struggles, dreams, and a desire to make the world a better place. As they finished their meal, Jack leaned forward slightly, his expression serious. "Samantha," he said softly, "I want to offer you something. It's not just money, and it's not a simple thank you. I've been thinking a lot about what you said tonight about your bakery. I want to help you make that dream come true." Samantha's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack smiled gently. "I want to invest in your bakery. I know that the road to success isn't easy, and I believe in you. With the right guidance and support, you can make this dream happen. I'll help you every step of the way." Tears welled up in Samantha's eyes. She had always dreamed of opening a bakery, but she never thought it could be possible. It felt like a dream she couldn't reach. But now, sitting across from Jack, she realized that sometimes life surprises you in the most unexpected ways. "Are you serious?" she whispered, still not fully believing what he was offering. Jack nodded. "I'm serious. This is not charity. I believe in you and your dream, and I'll make sure you get all the help you need to succeed." Samantha could hardly believe it. This wasn't just about a thank you gift anymore. This was a life-changing opportunity. "Thank you," Samantha said, her voice trembling with emotion. "This means more to me than I can say." As the night ended, Samantha left the restaurant with a sense of hope she had never felt before. Jack Harrison had changed her life in ways she never imagined. But as she walked out into the city, she realized this was just the beginning. The real challenge was ahead. As the days passed, Samantha felt both excitement and fear. Her dream of opening the bakery was closer than ever, but the thought of turning it into a reality felt overwhelming. She had always been a waitress, never having the chance to build a business from the ground up. Jack's support was a blessing, but she couldn't help but wonder if she was truly ready. Jack, sensing her doubts, reached out to her regularly. He checked in on her, offered advice, and connected her with some of the best bakers and entrepreneurs he knew. He never made her feel pressured, though. He simply wanted to guide her without taking away her sense of ownership over the bakery. Samantha slowly began to feel more confident. She attended business classes and met with mentors Jack introduced her to. The bakery idea started taking shape, and the more she worked on it, the more excited she became. She could almost see herself baking pastries in her own shop, with the smell of fresh bread filling the air, and customers enjoying her creations. However, as the weeks went by, there were moments of doubt. There were challenges with securing the right location for the bakery. She had to deal with legal paperwork, financing, and marketing. Each obstacle felt like a test of her determination. But every time she thought of giving up, she remembered why she started. To create something meaningful, something that wasn't just about making money, but about sharing her love for baking with others. One day after a long meeting with contractors and designers, Samantha sat down with Jack. She had hit another roadblock. There were unexpected costs for some of the renovations, and the timeline was shifting. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," she admitted, feeling frustrated and exhausted. "Everything is more difficult than I thought." Jack, who had been sitting quietly across from her, smiled warmly. "Samantha, this is just part of the process. Every entrepreneur faces these moments of doubt. What matters is that you don't give up now. I believe in you, and I know you'll make it through." His words gave her a new sense of hope. With Jack's unwavering support and her own hard work, she was determined to push through. Weeks turned into months, and slowly but surely, Samantha's bakery started to take shape. She hired staff, tested recipes, and planned the grand opening. Jack continued to offer advice, but he never interfered with her decisions. He had given her the tools she needed, but the rest was up to her. Finally, the big day arrived. The bakery doors opened to a line of eager customers waiting to try her pastries. The smell of freshly baked bread filled the air, and Samantha's heart swelled with pride. She had done it. Her dream was finally a reality. Jack was there too, standing in the background, watching her with a proud smile on his face. Samantha walked up to him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for everything," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you." Jack nodded, his smile widening. "You did it, Samantha. You worked hard, and you believed in yourself. This is your success, and I'm proud of you." The bakery became a hit in the community, and over time, Samantha's business grew. She had transformed from a waitress with a dream into a successful business owner, all thanks to the belief and support of someone who saw her potential. But for Samantha, the journey wasn't just about success. It was about proving to herself that no matter where you come from, with hard work, perseverance, and a little bit of help from people who believe in you, dreams can come true. And as for Jack, he became a close friend and mentor, but he never let her forget that it was her drive and passion that made her bakery what it was. Together, they proved that the best partnerships are not just built on money and business, they're built on trust, belief, and the desire to help others reach their full potential. As the months passed, Samantha's bakery continued to grow, becoming a beloved staple in the community. Her customers were loyal, and her business expanded into new locations. She never lost sight of the passion that had driven her to start this journey in the first place. Every loaf of bread, every pastry, and every smile from a customer reminded her why she had worked so hard. Jack continued to stay in touch, offering advice when needed, but always respecting Samantha's independence. He had always believed in her, and watching her flourish was the most rewarding part of their partnership. One day, as Samantha stood behind the counter, watching her bakery come to life with the hustle and bustle of customers, she couldn't help but smile. She had come so far, from a humble waitress with a dream to a successful entrepreneur who had created something beautiful. And there at the counter was a small letter that made her heart flutter. It was from Jack. The letter read, "Samantha, I am incredibly proud of all you've achieved. But most of all, I am proud of you for never giving up on yourself, even when it felt impossible. You've built something extraordinary, and I know this is just the beginning for you. Keep dreaming big. With all my admiration, Jack." Tears welled in Samantha's eyes. She had built this bakery with her own hands, but it was Jack's faith in her that had been the spark she needed. She owed him so much more than words could express. With the bakery thriving and her confidence soaring, Samantha realized that her dream wasn't just about having a business. It was about finding the strength to believe in herself and the courage to turn her passion into something real. And as she stood in the warmth of her bustling bakery, surrounded by the smell of fresh bread and the laughter of her staff, Samantha knew that her life had changed forever. But she was also sure of one thing. Thank you for joining us on this Heartline journey. Samantha's story shows us that believing in yourself can turn dreams into reality. Keep believing, no matter the odds. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe